Good, good. What's up, Alan?
How's it going there,
How you
Sahaj?
doing?
Doing well. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Good, good. And let me introduce myself to everyone. Hi, my name's Sahaj, and I'm a product manager.
So, thank you for setting aside the time for us to connect and talk about what it is that product management is. Could you give us just a quick rundown, like a 30-second rundown of what it is?
Sure, yeah. So if I were to say it in a sentence, product managers are the people that identify problems that people are facing and build features or products that help solve those problems.
With that being said, with the identification of problems, I guess I kind of want to go from the beginning. How is it that, is there an approach or a style to get that feedback from the user, from the client? What's the goal there?
So full disclosure, every product manager is different. Every company is different in the way they, do this process. However, I'll talk you through how I do this, right? So we do it one of a couple ways. The first being user testing, right? So if we are trying to build a product or a feature that our customer base does not use yet, I usually get customer sentiment of that niche group by doing user tests. The other way is simply picking up the phone and calling users or chatting with them, whether it's like a Google Meets or a Zoom, super casual. I really like to keep it casual. They open up a little bit more like that. And, I like talking to customers. I ask them how things are going, whether it's on, whatever product they're using, their life, and what immediate things they'd want us to fix on the product. Pretty simple. It's just understanding what friction points they're facing more than anything else. And sometimes you get those cool customers that are like kind of super users, right? Where they'd actually give you like cool ideas like, hey, it'd be awesome to have this, or it'd be super cool to have this. But yeah, for the most part, it's just having a conversation. And a lot of customers, believe it or not, are really open to having conversations, and just they love giving you feedback because it gives them the impression that you care, and you do care, because that's how you build successful products.
Question about that. Is there a particular kind of method or idea process on how to best prompt users in that kind of setting, right? Because you don't want to give leading questions. You don't want to...
Yeah. We don't want like tainted responses, right? Or like one-sided kind of responses. And I totally get that. I do not like to get one-way swayed customer judgment. My methodology when I talk to customers or users is they're never going to give you the answer. So in that regard, you're more so just having a conversation and picking up on points where you believe are the friction points. Because at face value, if they come to complain, they come to complain. And you can help solve their problems by like understanding where those problems stem from and building solution plans. But for the most part, no customer actually gives you the answer book or like the answer key. You have to really make your own judgment call and figure out what the stem or what the root of that problem or friction point might be.
You'd mentioned that the customer, the user can't give the answer themselves. Why is it that they can't, and what is it that product management as a process does so that the tool or the solution that's built does adequately address the friction points?
So to not be too cliche, Henry Ford, right? Henry Ford said if you would ask people what they would rather have wanted, they'd say faster horses before he built the automobile, right? So in that regard, a lot of the customers don't know what they want until they have it, right? But it's half and half. It's about existing technologies, and if you want to improve existing technologies or if you're building something revolutionary. There's two different boats of thinking. If you're trying to improve your current product or feature in terms of internal improvements, you'd look to the customers to help solve those problems and kind of identify where you can update those features. However, if you're building something revolutionary and have identified a problem yourself, the customer won't understand that it's solving their problems until it's in their hands.
I guess, could you give a little bit more insight into the product management process? What kind of checks and balances are there to make sure that what's being developed is useful, is necessary?
Absolutely. So product management is probably one of those fields where you're in a business or you're in a certain department, but you're not technically just in that department. You're talking to A through Z stakeholders. And what I mean by stakeholders is that any involved party in the process. So for instance, if you're in charge or if you're managing a product that the sales team sells, your stakeholders include the sales team, the business department, accounting, legal, customers, and I can put the list on, So when you're talking about the process of product management, you're really trying to be the user's voice and try and bringing your ideas into fruition. So you start with the ideation process and the brainstorming, and with that comes a lot of market research and data from customers and really trying to make that idea tangible in a sense. So once you're at that point, you take it to the main stakeholders. So whoever's in charge of giving you the stamp of approval, right, to take to the next step. Because with all of these products and ideas, you're pulling in resources to build that, right? So if it's not a viable product to build, they're not going to pull their resources at that given time. So basically, I don't want to go straight too far from the question. You're going through a lot of hoops and boundaries, and you can't lose hope and faith. You have to really push and grit forward in the whole product management roadmap, right?
I mean, like you mentioned, it is a roadmap. It is more of a put together plan with certain checks and balances and criterias that need to be met. So it's a lot more of a methodical process. So switching gears here, could you tell us a little bit more about product management? I mean, in my understanding, it's relatively new. It's an exciting field. There's a lot of buzz around it, but why get into product management to begin with?
Sure. So historically, when you think product management, you think software developer turn product management, or someone who has a very good understanding of engineering and coding going to product management. But now in the modern era, anyone who has a good understanding of solving people's problems, carrying ideas forward and building them into tangible assets is a product manager. You're basically taking yours or someone else's idea, managing that idea, creating it, testing it, and making sure it runs. That's what a product manager is. So right now, if you want to get into product management, my advice is to start talking to everyone in your company. It sounds funny, but that's essentially what it is. It's how well you can influence teams, how well you work with other people, and how hard you can push.
So again, like you were mentioning, it's really a field for people that want to be able to solve problems and work on those problems. Are there any other callings or reasons why people should consider going into product management?
Yeah, it's more fun than anything else if you enjoy a rewarding and stressful environment, right? Where there's no slow days. You're constantly, managing the current product, you're managing ideas, you're working with multiple teams, you're making sure things don't stall, and you're working with like high-level execs, which is awesome. Especially in the type of company you work for. So if you're working for like a younger startup, if you're a product manager, you're working directly under the C-suites, the CEO or the COO, and you learn a lot. You learn a ton from the original product owners, right? The people who actually came up with the product, and now you're managing it.
What would you recommend for people that are trying to break into product management?
Yeah, so there's a lot of times where people don't realize how many similarities their current role has with product management. And that's for someone like me, where I was in strategy up until, I joined SetSchedule, my current role as product manager. And I decided to level up my product management skills in a boot camp, right? And that's kind of like the modern era of things, because there is no major called product management, as far as I know. But there are boot camps and courses you can learn at YouTube. But more than anything else, it's about leveling up your experience in the company. And like I said, you can really position yourself in a great position if you work at a company where you can work with multiple parties and start talking to people early on in your career so you can position yourself in a product management role.
Could you leave us with some quick tips for beginners, anyone that's trying to break into product management, how you would recommend doing that?
Sure. So there's no one right answer to this. It has to do with your determination, manifesting that you're going to become a product manager. Teensy bit of luck, I'm not going to lie. But mostly it's just knowing your information, practicing, and confidence when you speak. A lot of people will like you for your personality as long as you're genuine about it. If you genuinely feel like you care about people, about teams, about feelings, you'd be a good product manager. But you have to get an understanding of what product management is. So don't overlook your education. Do get educated as to what product management is, learn more about it, and truly understand if you have what it takes by practicing interviews, talking to your friends, talking to people who work in companies that have product managers, and level up your career that way. Alan, thanks for having me. Hey, this is Sahaj. Thanks again for spending the time and listening to me go on and on and on, but appreciate it. Go ahead and click the like button, share, comment, give us some tips, apply. Thanks again.